I am an instructional bartender. My goal is to serve up as many rounds of transformative student engagement as I possibly can. I have a small group of regulars that I've gotten to know pretty well this year. And my goal is to serve them all as many rounds as I can each time they show up to my classroom looking for something to take the edge off. So, before you all, how did I get into bartending during school hours? Before you all take your phones out and start typing an email to HR, go with me. We're gonna take a journey. It all started at the beginning of the year at a staff meeting. My principal is standing in front of us. We're smiling passive-aggressively at him, thinking of all the other, I'm just kidding, Mr. Thompson, that's not true. Thinking of all the other things we could be doing with our time. You know, that thing that we do. And he's doing that thing that he does, where he's way too excited to be rolling out our instructional focus for the year. He is talking about it like we're gonna go Steve Jobs on the profession and completely revolutionize the industry. The rollout, student engagement, boom, buzzword dropped, engagement. And I'm thinking to myself, phew, thank goodness, this is not gonna add anything else to my workload. Engagement, I got that. My kids pay attention, they listen. When I ask them at the end of my lesson if there's any questions, nobody ever has any. See? Engagement. He should probably let me leave now. Then, he raises the stakes. He's got a rubric. This means that he's got a way to quantifiably measure student engagement levels at 5 different levels of the rubric and bullet points to measure teacher and student behavior at each level. So then I think, okay, I got this. But he raises the stakes again. And he tells us the reason why he chose engagement as our instructional focus for this year. He says to us, you're all great teachers, but overall, engagement in our school building for most of our students is sitting at around 50%. And I'm thinking, 50%? There's no way, not me. Have you seen me in my classroom? I know what I'm doing. Most of my kids, dare I say, enjoy my onstage presence. This can't be me, no way. So, then he tells us we've got to engage our students in order to truly teach them. Truly transformative engagement requires that we really understand our students, their backgrounds, their preferences, their needs. Sound familiar? So, when you're making the perfect cocktail, you have to know what ingredients go into the drink and how the flavor of the ingredients change the profile of the drink. When you are making the perfect classroom conditions for engagement, you have to understand how the human element of your student changes their engagement profile. In order to better understand my humans, I went on a listening tour. I asked them, what is school for? Here's some of the feedback that I got. To learn useless stuff that you won't use in the world. It's a waste of time if I'm being honest. I have a dream job and the school's not even getting you ready for it. School is to get you ready for the world, and yet you're learning about things that nobody cares about. Waste of time. Ouch. School is for learning, but all we need to know is how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and also read. It's a real pain in the butt, and I can't stand it because it feels like prison. Like the dress code. How can we not wear spaghetti straps? The shoulders are not a distraction. Everyone has them. And let's not get on the food here. It's so disgusting. But that's all I got to say. Oh, this girl, she's a trip. And this one. If you hate someone, you need to go to school. It's the place you can go where hate doesn't exist. Hate doesn't exist. That's powerful. The conclusion? Here I was singing and dancing and PowerPointing myself to death when some of my students felt entrenched in the very pipeline that I've spent my entire career trying to keep them away from. And some of them need school to be a safe place. So, how do we bring this back to bartending? Well, like I said, a recipe for a good drink involves knowing the ingredients. Recipe for a great classroom engagement experience will contain equal parts of these three things: self-awareness, value to society, and ownership of the outcome. What do we mean by that? We gain insight into a student's self-awareness to help them become more self-aware when we ask them questions like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What behaviors move you toward or away from that goal? And what roadblocks exist for you and the ones that you love? The next part, value to society. We help our students understand that when we ask them questions like, what are you an expert in? What problem does loyalty refuse to let you ignore? And what do you want to contribute to the world that wasn't here before you got here? And lastly, we make sure that our students know and have ownership of their outcome if on graduation day they can answer these three questions. When you were in school, what did you choose to learn? What kind of person did your education turn you into? And what things do you now know to be true today? If we're going to build our own instructional cocktail for our classrooms, we need to make sure that we have equal parts of those ingredients. And for you all, teachers, your own instructional cocktail may start with questions like this. Is your student going straight to the workforce or four-year university? Is your student an anxious test taker or a careless mistake maker? Does your student prefer nacho cheese Doritos or Takis? And do you see them better suited? Do they see themselves better suited as TikTok content creators or accountants? Let me close this by summing it up with a story that happened to me about a month ago. I'm sitting in the cafeteria and I'm having lunch. And I'm sitting there having casual conversation with one of my students when she proceeds to tell me that she hates reading. Now, normally, I would have gone with that time-tested mantra, the Dr. Seuss quote from that teachers everywhere know. That's okay, you just haven't found the right book yet. But I took a different approach. I said, that's real. Have you thought about what jobs are out there that don't require a lot of reading? And cool as a cucumber, this girl looks at me straight in my eyes and says, yep, the club. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, one of my sixth graders just told me she wants to work in the club. What would CMS HR say about this? Please let there be a fire drill right now. There wasn't. But she tells me she wants to work in the club. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And she says, what? They make bank. And they get to pour drinks and listen to people tell them funny stories. But I guess you do still have to read to mix the liquids with the shot glass, right? And I'm like, girl, you are so smart, you will figure it all out. You will get there, trust me. You see, as teachers, We are certified teaching practice mixologists. We spend countless hours crafting and refining the finest barrel-aged instruction because we know it matters how engaging our students find us. But we can't engage them if we don't know whether they like their math problems shaken or stirred. We can't know them if we don't ask them. We can't ask them if we aren't willing to listen to them. And if we don't listen to them, we'll never engage them. Thank you.